Scotland, The Drive, with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
Welcome to Scotland The Drive, our new podcast about motoring north of the border. The cars, the roads, the drivers, and everything in between. I'm Alan, he's Ali.
That's me. And it's different in Scotland, isn't it? It's different from elsewhere. We are a different nation. And the car buying public, and a lot of people don't realise this, is very different what they buy in Scotland and what they buy. If you look at some of the numbers, that car sales, they're reflected down in England because all the leasing companies, they buy loads of cars and they go through England, whereas Scotland are mostly Joe Public buying.
But you know what? An editor said to me not so long ago, nobody's interested in cars. That's rubbish.
We're about to find out.
Well, you're interested in cars. I'm interested in cars. A lot of people out there are interested in cars, and that's why we're doing this podcast, because there is a lot of interest in motoring in Scotland, and as you say, it's very distinctive. So that's what the podcast is all about. We want to hear from you, and we've got the email address.
Yep, and I just add in, this is how it all started. We were sitting having a cup of coffee, and we started talking about this, about what people might think about the roads. We were complaining about not only the potholes, but the amount of roadworks that are going on. You'd never guess there's an election coming up next year, would you? And we started, what about other people? So if you'd like to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear from you. And you can email us anytime at scotlandthedrive@gmail.com. And plus, of course, we're on all social medias and things like that we don't possibly understand.
We've got a wee bit of fun along the way. This car here, if you can identify it, see what you think. Can you tell us what it is? I vaguely know what it is. So if you can tell us what you think it is, there's no prize. It's just a bit of fun.
I'll throw in a prize.
Will you?
Yeah. We've got on the way Scotland The Drive mugs. So let's give away our first Scotland The Drive mug.
Hey, you're being a bit generous. I mean, you know.
It doesn't have a handle. But so just have a look at this car, because it's been sitting here for a couple of days and I've been trying to work out what it was, because it doesn't come out of the box, so I can't see underneath it.
So it doesn't say underneath it either.
Does it not?
No.
All right.
No.
Okay.
That's
So
why I'm trying to remember what it is.
So if you think you know what that car is and you'd like the very first Scotland The Drive mug, let us know. And as I say, get in touch by email.
Let's be clear, we're not giving away the car, because the car is ours.
It's yours.
Yeah, well, it's mine. Yeah. Well,
Saving that up for your retirement, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yes. I'll give you a clue though. It's electric. I know that.
Right.
So there's a clue. Anyway, it's a bit of fun. Or as Ali says, you're in for a mug. Or
ScotlandTheDrive@gmail.com. Go on, send it to me.
All right. Okay. I thought we should really talk about our cars. Maybe our first car. Well, what do you drive at the moment?
An Evoque.
Right. Okay.
Normally. Yeah. And we drive a lot, as we know.
Yeah.
One of our feature ideas is that we're going to try and get a guest in most of these sessions, and they'll tell us about their first drive. And we have the first few people lined up, but we thought that we should talk about ours first. My first one was a Hillman Imp, but I only had it for about 2 months because it stopped working.
Well, there's a surprise. I told them to stop working.
Yeah. So I took it back I remember it well. My dad came along with me, along with my uncle, as if I needed this strong arm taking this car back that had stopped working.
So that would be one of the first off the production line. Right?
It probably was. It was. Yeah. So I went from that to a Ford Anglia.
Oh, right.
I enjoyed that.
Ford Anglias are good. I like that sloping back window.
Yeah.
You know that one of the benefits of that was you didn't get rain on it. You know,
right? No,
you didn't need a wiper. Now you see, that's innovative thinking. Engineers now, they put a wiper on, but design the car so it doesn't get rain on it. You don't need a wiper.
Don't need a wiper.
Anyway, the Ford Anglia, that was a nice car. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your first, friend?
It was a Mini. It was, from memory, I was down in Hertfordshire at the time, and I think I paid about 70 quid for it. Which was overpriced because it started off with 4 gears, and within about a week it only had 2, first and second, unfortunately. And I drove up to Scotland in it, and that was when the gears started disappearing. So I started the journey with 4 gears, ended up getting into Scotland with just 2 gears, first and second, and it burnt more oil than it burnt petrol. It was terrible. It was
Terrible.
awful. Actually, I think I sold it for a £5 profit, though.
Well, that's it. You see,
But it had 4 gears by then. I had the gearbox repair.
right.
Yeah. So you had the Hillman out. What did you go?
Had the Hillman up, then
And
the Anglia,
then the Anglia.
Anglia. And then when I left school, I trained as a chef. So I was a chef for a couple of years, and then came out of chefing and was manager of a retail shop. But I thought could make some more money somewhere, and I had this little franchise catering. So the Hillman Imp and the Ford Anglia were of no use whatsoever. So I had to buy an estate, and I bought this Cortina estate, and I really fell in love with Fords from that.
Great cars.
I loved it.
It was one of the best cars ever.
Yeah.
I did much the same sort of thing, although I went more commercial than you. I bought an old Ford Escort, a Mark I Ford Escort van. At the time, I was still down in England, and I went to an auction, and they were selling off old Electrolux vans. The Electrolux factory was in Luton, and there was an auction. They were selling off all these vans. And this was a brilliant Ford Mark I Ford Escort van. It only had one seat, the driver's seat, and all this space in the back, and the Electrolux had been painted out. RXE 105F.
Wow.
There you go. So that was in... When was that? Oh, early 70s. But it was great. I used to drove miles and miles in it, up and down to Scotland. It was great. I loved it. Sold it to a couple of guys who were running a painting and decorating business.
Ideal for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I was pleased that when, just after having the Ford Cortina and running the catering business on the side, got promoted within the retail company I was working with, and I got a company car. And that was the start of my many years of company cars. And they said to me, "What do you want?" I said, "Ford Cortina." And those were the company cars in those days, you know. And I had many great company cars. No, not all of them. I had an Austin Princess, which was just dreadful.
Oh, the Wedge.
Oh, yeah.
The Wedge.
It was an awful car. Dreadful.
The thing is, you don't see many of them on the road. They've all gone to that great automotive.
Yeah, mine should be amongst it. It was just dreadful.
Then I had a whole series of Capris. I loved the Capri. I got 3 in total. First one, I bought it, and it was great. It was red, you know, fantastic, a red Capri. Yeah. Wow. Then it turns out later when I was looking at the registration document, it turned out it had been a rental car. So it was well used, well run in, as they say. And then I got a silver one after that. It was, I think it was a 2-litre. The first one was a 1.6. This was a 2-litre, which, the difference was amazing. And then I got another one, which was, I can't remember, I think it was a 2-litre as well. And that one was stolen 3 times.
Really?
And sadly, I got it back.
Got it back?
Yeah, stole it. When my daughter was born, it was the night she was born, and I got back to the house at, I don't know, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And I got up in the middle of the night for a pee, and I looked out the window and I thought, what is that car in somebody's garden? Then I realised it was my car. They nicked it from my drive. I mean, I'd only been in bed maybe 2 hours, and in that time, somebody had come along, nicked the car. They tried to push it down the hill to start it, couldn't get it started, so just ran it into one of my neighbour's gardens.
Fantastic.
So I got it back, and then it was stolen again in Glasgow, and anyway, but I loved it. It was a great car. But actually, I'm saying, sadly, I got it back. No, I was really pleased I got it back, because it was actually very reliable. Never broke down, as far as I remember. No, I loved it.
I remember I started working for Landmark, the furniture people.
Oh, yeah.
And again, the job was going around to the stores, so company car. So the director said to me, "What would you like?" I said, "A Ford Capri." I always wanted a Ford Capri. "Yeah, not a problem." So time passes by, and then I go to join the company after working my notice. And they said, "Sorry, couldn't get you a Ford Capri, so just got you a Cortina." I said, "A Cortina? I've just had 3. And he went, "Yeah, I noticed you drove up in one, so I thought you were just like another one." So I never did get the Ford Capri.
Well, the Cortinas were good cars. I'm trying to think what I had after that. memory starts to go. It gets a bit. Oh, gee, I can't remember.
I've had the Jaguar. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
What Jag?
Can't remember.
This has got to be what this podcast.
Oh, absolutely! It's just gone there. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
It'll come to me. Come to me.
Right, so you had a Jag,
yeah, and then we bought the Evoque. Now, again, a lot of bad comments about the Evokes, but I have had no problems with it at all. And so much so that when I bought it on a lease situation, and when the lease was up, I bought it outright, and I've kept it, and I've still got it, and it goes every day. It had the usual water coming in the ceiling. That's
a built-in extra.
Yeah, it is, and it had just gone out of warranty when that happened, and they kindly got it all fixed for me.
Yeah, I've had a few discoveries. They were pretty much the same. The fault or the mistake I made was to get one with a sunroof, because that has a built-in leak.
Yeah,
and it doesn't come through the roof, It didn't come through the roof. It came through. It came through the channel in the roof, and then went down the pillar and ended up in the footwell.
Right.
So the number of times your feet were wet, and in fact, this car, it went in for the clutch went on it after only about 3 years, and it went to the garage and they were jacking it up, and the jack went right through the bottom of it. So it was rusty from the bottom, which is quite unusual. I like the Discoveries, but
I like the Discoveries as well, but I've had two bad situations with them.
I had one.
Right. When the Scottish Car of the Year came along and the Discovery was the winner, Land Rover said to me and to the whole motoring crew who had voted it, said, we'd like to donate a car for 6 months to a charity in Scotland. And we know that the Association of Scottish Motoring Writers do a lot of work with the air ambulance in Scotland. So they took a new Discovery. And I was driving down to Stirling in it one day and it just stopped. It would go nowhere. And that just went, nobody could even get it started to go. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then I was doing a tour of 60 shows and I had the Discovery supplied by Land Rover and it broke down between Leeds and Birmingham and was never seen again. So it kind of put me off it. But that's the feature that we're thinking about over the next few editions of this podcast. Goodness knows how many editions it'll last. But we're planning to bring somebody onto the show to talk about their first car and motoring. And in fact, the next edition, we will have Gillian Shedden into the show to tell us about her first car.
From Knockhill,
managing director of Knockhill Racing Circuit. I know what her first car is. I won't give it away, but she will be joining us on the next show.
She's an interesting lady. Can I say lady? I don't know. Is that politically correct these days?
Is this why start being politically correct now?
I know. Anyway, no, she's an interesting person. She's an interesting person. No, she was quite a racer. And I think she still does a bit of racing, but it'll be interesting to hear from her. I was just going to talk about what I drive now. Well, like you, we get lots of test cars, loan cars to review. We'll be talking about some of them later in this podcast. But my own car, which I drive occasionally, is an Isuzu D-Max pickup, because I live in the wilds, up half a mile up a dirt track. And I need something that's substantial. And I love driving it. I don't drive it very often, but I love driving it. You get in, it sounds like an old tractor when you start out. It's a 1.9 diesel, and it sounds like an old tractor. But it's just great to drive. And you know what I really like about it? It hasn't got all these safety features. I don't have to spend
beep, beep, beep.
I don't have to spend half an hour switching off the lane departure, the speed warning, the driver attention monitor, all that sort of stuff. I just get in and drive it, and it's great. It'll sit for 3 months and then burst into life. Turn the key.
Some of the new cars at the moment are so frustrating. We'll come to that, but all the alarms, etc., it gets to you, doesn't it?
Certainly does. And that's just one of the things we're going to talk about, because we've got a whole range of issues to talk about.
This is Scotland, The Drive.
So, what are the issues we're going to talk about?
Well, I think we should start off with your experiences on electric cars.
Yeah.
And you're not alone. You're not alone.
Well, I kind of swither on this because I really hated electric cars when they started appearing, but I'm kind of getting into the mindset. In fact, I've driven about 4 electric cars on the trot recently, test cars. I've got the Renault 4 right now, the new Renault 4, and it's a nice little car. And I was thinking, I don't like electric cars, but I'm coming around to getting used to the fact that you go in and charge them. And actually, for the first time, a couple of weeks ago, I was driving along and I was thinking, this old concept of driving into a filling station and getting a nozzle and sticking it in, they put this liquid into a tank. It seems old-fashioned now. Whereas, charging is becoming easier with limitations. And that's one of the things that I've been discovering, because I try to use the ChargePlace Scotland network, but I've had a few problems. This is the all-electric Renault 4. Nice car. This one's a bit grubby because I've been using it quite a bit and the roads are a bit mucky just now, but all-electric. On a full charge you get about 200 miles, which isn't brilliant, so it means you've got to charge it fairly regularly. So a visit to a place like this is fairly commonplace. Now this one is ChargePlace Scotland. It's in Montrose. It's one of only 2 50 kilowatt charging points in Montrose. It's very handy. The local Aldi is just along the road there, so it's very handy. You can plug it in, go and do your shopping, come back fully charged. There's just one problem. This one is completely dead. Not just that, but it has been dead for, I reckon, about 6 weeks, maybe even getting on for 2 months. I called here about 2 weeks ago and it was dead then, and I phoned ChargePlace Scotland and reported it, and they said, oh yes, it's been out for some time, we're waiting for the council to come and fix it. So this is all a mystery to me. I mean, who runs this thing? Is it ChargePlace Scotland? Is it the council? And why is it still dead after 4 or even 6 weeks? The point is, I've got an electric car that needs to be charged. There's a ChargePlace Scotland hub here, and it's dead, which is completely pointless. Of course, that's just ChargePlace Scotland. There are alternatives, and one of the best at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, is through the Arnold Clark network. There you'll find a whole range of chargers with everything from pay-as-you-go or pay-and-go to app bookings, where you can use the Arnold Clark app, book a charging space, come along, and the charger's waiting for you. The price is very good as well. It's 55 pence per kilowatt hour compared to higher charges elsewhere, and you can follow it as you go along. It'll even tell you how much you're paying at the time. So it's very good, and it's the most important thing is that it's always working. So anyway, there we are. The charging network is the problem. The cars themselves are pretty good. In fact, they're very good, and there's such a variety of cars. There's such a range from bargain basement to really executive luxury ones, and that's all very well. But it's the infrastructure. They've got to get the infrastructure right, and I think we're getting there. And that Arnold Clark example is a good one. I think it's a brilliant system. It really works well. Yeah. You use it.
Yeah, I've been using it quite a lot because I'm not too far away from where I live. I've got about maybe 4 or 5 Arnold Clark garages, dealerships who have got the charging points there. I've also got BP Pulse at the bottom of the road, but it's very expensive.
Yeah,
and I just don't understand how BP can think they can get away with this, because they've spent a lot of money investing in this particular site, and they've put new chargers up. They've bought it. It used to be a car wash, and it all looks great, but the thing's empty. People are not,
So what do they charge for that?
I think it's up to 60 odd pence. I'm not sure.
60 pence is what ChargePlace Scotland charge. There are some cheaper ones, I think, depending on the size of the charge. Yeah. But the ChargePlace Scotland, I'm really disappointed. I want it to be good.
Yeah.
And it should be good. And if the Scottish government wants us all to change the electric cars, they're going to have to get this sorted out.
The first time I used Arnold Clark, they'd just gone up. But they just put these charging things. So I drives in, and it was one of the press cars that we had, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, because they have one that you can go onto the app and book your time, and then they have another 3 that you don't. So myself and another driver turned up at the same time, and we're both trying to guess. And just at that point, a young guy comes out from the showroom and he says, "Are you having any problems?" And we said, "Well, we're getting there." I said, "Well, we're the same. That just happened, so we're getting to know it." So between us, he helped us. We got unplugged. And then he said, "Why don't you go inside and have a coffee when you're waiting on it?" And we're thinking, wow, okay. Great move for whoever came up with that for Arnold, because at the end of the day, they're getting you in the showroom, and you never know.
No,
you just might come up with something. But the whole service that I've had, and I've recharged now on probably 4 occasions that I've used Arnold Clark, and that will be my go-to choice at the moment.
Well, I was in there before I came here tonight.
Really?
It's great. You go in, I do the pay and go because it's a lot easier. You just tap your charge card. It tells you, I mean, it's all very straightforward. It just tells you, plug in, you tap your charge card and it starts charging. And then you can, with the QR code, you can follow it on your phone. So as you say, I went in, I had a coffee, with biscuit as well, sometimes some shortbread if you're lucky. And you can read the paper, you can use the toilet, and the time passes and you can keep a check on it on your phone. And then, well, I took it up to 100%, which I know you're not supposed to do, but I did because I had the time in hand and I was very comfortable. Thank you very much. And you're right, I had a look at some of the new Mercs and Kias that were in the showroom. And contrast that with ChargePlace Scotland, where you're standing in the rain.
You're not sure if it's working.
Or that's if you can get it to work. And then you're in the car and it's cold and, and you can't put the heater on because you're running down the battery while you're trying to charge it. It's like filling the bucket while it's leaking out the other end. So, so the Arnold Clark one, I think is good. And as you say, it's a smart move. And I've been to a few. I've been to some in Glasgow, some in Kilmarnock, and Dundee. And they're all very straightforward, efficient, fast, and it's going to work, which is great. Right. So is that us finished with electric cars?
I think so. For the moment, I've my test car this week is an electric car, so we'll come back to that one on another edition. It'll be my first time ever in a Tesla.
Oh.
They're not making it easy for journalists to drive them. But as I said to the lady at Tesla, I've managed many years without a Tesla, and they've managed many years without me. And personally couldn't give a monkeys if I didn't drive one.
You've got to be adding to Elon's trillion,
well, he needs it.
salary.
Yeah. Well, I've put a request on him to come on to the podcast. Because
what do you drive, Elon?
Yeah, and who drives you? You're driving us nuts.
Well, that would be interesting to hear how you get on. But the point about Tesla is you don't pay for your charging.
Some pay and some don't.
Ah, right, okay.
We don't.
We don't?
No, we like it.
Oh, I like the sound of that. I'm actually going to look forward to driving the Tesla, which is unexpected. So we'll hear about that in future editions then.
One of the things that I wanted to raise was a little story that came out probably about a couple of weeks ago, and that is a council down in England who are now going to charge more for your parking if you're driving an SUV. And I have to ask the question, it's not just this council in England. Why are councils so against motorists? Look at what they're doing. They're driving you talk about city centres being empty, shops struggling. And that's because the councils are pushing everybody out to retail parks. And that is, now we've got this council, if you are driving an SUV, and it's not the size of the vehicle, it's the weight of the vehicle.
How is that going to work?
How's it going to work with a battery car?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, are you going to have a council official in each car park with a set of scales, weighing your car as you go in?
The weight is actually less than a battery on the cars that they're talking about. So right away, it's flawed. It's flawed, but they've come up with this, that certain parts of their high streets, if you park in it and you have an SUV, you pay more than you would pay for a normal car. That is discrimination.
But, hang on, SUVs, but an electric car weighs more.
Mm-hmm.
So technically it should be paying, but it won't be because it's not an SUV.
Well, they haven't got around to that yet. They've launched a scheme but haven't come up with the ideas behind it.
But this is in Wales.
Yes.
So it could come here.
Oh, any time now.
Yeah.
You know, if the councils think there is a chance of making even more money out of motorists and driving them out of the ground, you know, and off the roads.
But that's what it's all about. You see, it's like, well, you know, in years gone by, the Chancellor would stick a tax on fags and on booze because it was an easy target. Now they've lost the fags, or they're not getting as much from fags. And booze, well, you know, perhaps that's going down as well. And motorists have always been an easy target because, you know, you must have plenty of money, you've got a car. So we'll just slap some more tax on you. So it's just another way of getting the tax. Actually, talking about EVs and tax, there's this thing about pay per mile. And or tax on EVs.
How does that work?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
We're not the Chancellor, and the Chancellor doesn't know either.
But it's bonkers. I mean, I would have thought rather than a tax per mile, in the case of internal combustion engines, you just bump up the tax on the fuel because you obviously need the fuel to run the car. So rather than create some sort of complex tax system for paying per mile, you just pay it more for the fuel that you use. And if it's an electric car, then they bump up the tax. Why am I saying increase the tax? I mean, I lost the place here.
As you can gather, this is a gentleman with the money.
No,
he doesn't worry about it.
Far from it. But I don't know. It all comes down to motorists are an easy target. You know, they've got pots of cash because they've got big cars. And actually, I mean, if you were the Chancellor and you sit looking at somebody who's spending 100 grand on a car, well, they can spend a bit more. They can afford to pay a bit more to use the roads. You know, and
it's also like at the moment though, with electric cars, the government have come out with a scheme that if you buy a new electric car, you get a discount.
Yeah.
Except they've made it so difficult to get this discount. Again, it's a soundbite. They announce this. This is great. Everybody who buys a new electric car, you'll get X amount of £1,000, a couple of thousand, I think it is.
3 cars that qualify for it.
I mean, it was said by a friend of ours, Alan Parry, who's the Fiat director at Suzuki. He said, you know, they don't qualify because they don't make the cars in the right country to qualify. So they have taken that off the price of the car.
Well, that's good.
In fact, we've got the Vitara coming up fairly shortly, both of us, on the rota. It'd be good to get Alan on the podcast as well to explain how it's going. I think we'll make that. We'll pin him down and tell him that he's going to be a podcast star.
But that's good, but you can't expect every company just to knock 1,500 quid off the price. I mean, the government should be doing that. If they want to encourage us to drive electric cars, then why make it difficult? On the one hand, they're saying, "Oh yes, buy electric cars." But it's like it reminds me of the days when you remember when they were trying to encourage us to go LPG.
Yes,
and you know you take out your spare wheel and replace it with an LPG tank, but then. And the price was really low, but then did they not start bumping up the tax on LPG?
Right.
Or there was the threat of it. So on the one hand, oh yes, encourage, and then beat us with a stick as well.
Well, it's like when the Mr. Miliband, who's pushing the zero, and you know all cars have got to not be diesel or petrol between now and 2035, I think it is. And every car that a manufacturer makes or sells after that period, as it sits in Britain at the moment, I think it's 2035, could be wrong. But if they sell any car that is not electric car, they get fined £10,000 by the British government. We are now in a situation that there were less cars sold last year than there were during the pandemic.
Well, fewer cars in total.
In total.
Okay.
New cars. Cars. There's fewer new cars. During the pandemic, the showrooms were closed, and yet they sold more cars. So it shows you where the car industry, you know, particularly in new cars, it's not a good place to be at the moment.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
That's it. That's the word. Bonkers.
Yeah, bonkers.
That's bonkers.
Right. Okay, we've come up with the answer to the current problems.
Yeah, hire us as politicians.
They're bonkers.
Yeah.
Right, what else is there? Roadworks. How about Roadworks? Where do we start?
It doesn't matter which part of Scotland you're in.
No. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, we complain about potholes, and then when they close the road to repair the potholes, we complain. We're never happy.
Well, maybe if they were to treat it like a business, if something is wrong in your business that you have, you go and fix it. You don't leave it for 3, 5 years, 6, 7 years, and everybody starts complaining. And then, might be the cynic in me, but we've got an election coming up in Scotland next year. Oh, well, what's the one main complaint? Potholes in the state of our roads. So they start doing that. I mentioned this years ago to a government minister. When companies like Land Rover or whoever it may be, I've just picked a name there, Suzuki, Genesis, when they're launching new models, they have to take somewhere that they go to take the press from around the world who come in to test the cars. Now, we've been invited on many of these. I would say 10 years ago, you could expect to be at least half of the year these launches would be in Scotland because they love the Scottish road. Down the west of Scotland, up the north of Scotland. Pitlochry was always a great place, and they would launch the cars. That's bringing business. They're normally about, if they're doing a UK or a world launch, I know one that was 3 months up in the Highlands just recently, launching the car to the world's media. Generally now that's not happening. And I asked one of the top press people why they don't come to Scotland now. And they said, your roads are so bad. And so they were not bringing the launches to Scotland. And I just think now they're just reacting rather than being there ahead of it all.
Yeah, as I say, it's this thing of, we complain about the roads, and then when they close the roads to repair them, we complain. But this thing about lack of maintenance, that's what's been happening. And we see it in all aspects of government is, well, the reason it's so bad is because of the previous administration. They didn't spend the money. Yeah, but you can only go for so long blaming other people. You've got to grasp the nettle and sort it out yourself. I don't know. We need roadworks, roadworks are necessary, but they should never get to that stage where it requires such major piece of work. But actually, what they do is, or what has been done in recent years, is patching. They do lots of patching and patching and patching, and eventually, the patches need patched. And if they just do the job properly in the first place, a road as well, you're up to Aberdeen quite a lot, up the A90 past Breakin.
Yeah. Oh, that is just...
Well, that road has a checkered history, because this is before my time, but I think it was somebody decided, it'd be good to lay it as concrete. So it was laid as quite a section, I think about 5 or 6, maybe even 8 miles of concrete. But it was done in sections. So you go, boom, 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 boom. Now, that lasted quite well. I think the concrete lasted quite well. But once it started to go, boy, did it go.
Yeah.
So they then started filling in the holes with tarmac. So you now got bumpity bump, 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 and so it goes on. And that road is just a patchwork. Now, I came along there the other day, and they're working on it, but I don't know what they're doing. But it looks fairly major, but I worry that it looks major, but it's just going to be more major patching. They've got to just do it properly, just scoop the whole lot up and resurface the whole thing and do it properly. And it's false economy just to keep patching.
Mm-hmm.
Because you patch and patch and patch, and in the end, you're going to spend more than if you'd just done it properly in the first place. So roadworks. So we want to hear from you about roadworks. Have you got a favourite roadwork? I saw something the other day. Oh yeah, about this one. I don't know if it's already happened, but the M8 at Hart Hill. Now here we go. Sections of the M8 at Hart Hill will be closed overnight for almost 2 weeks to allow a footbridge to be cleaned. Sorry? You need to clean a footbridge, so you're closing one of Scotland's busiest, in fact, Scotland's busiest motorway for 2 weeks, at night, to clean a footbridge. Now, I think it's one of these ones with panels,
right,
panels.
Glass panels.
So they need to clean the panel.
Yeah.
But why do they need to close it for 2 weeks? I mean, if the window cleaner came along and said, yeah, I'll do your windows, but it's going to take you 2 weeks. It's going to take me 2 weeks. You say, what? No. But even then, if they're doing the inside, why do they need to close the motorway? They don't need to close the motorway if they just clean the glass on the inside. And even when they clean the glass on the outside, they don't need to close the whole motorway, just close a section of it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's happened, but it's at the Harthill footbridge. Eastbound carriageway closed, and the drivers will be directed on a 1 mile diversion, adding about 6 minutes to the journeys. Well, okay, 6 minutes.
6 minutes here and there.
Why do they need to clean it? We thank road users for their patience and understanding. Yeah, well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure that's going to happen.
So as Alan was saying, just a reminder of the email address. We'd love to hear from you if you've got something like that is really in your area, needs to be talked about. And the email address again is scotlandthedrive@gmail.com, including this car here. Tell us what car you think that is. Okay? And we look forward to your comments on that. scotlandthedrive@gmail.com, and we'll draw a winner out the next time round for one of our brand new Scotland the Drive mugs.
I haven't finished talking about Roadworks.
Well, you better hurry up then, because you're running out of time.
Okay, rest and be thankful. There's a classic example. You know, the old, for those who don't know the rest and be thankful, it's the classic road to Inverary from the west, from Glasgow up to Inverary. It's 83, I think it is.
Right.
Now, there used to be the old windy road, which was a classic rally stage. I've actually been up there in a rally car a few times, and it's a stunning road. But at some point in the past, they decided they would build a new road. So they cut into the mountain and built this new road up the side of the mountain, which was fine, except it destabilized the whole mountain.
Right.
So this whole mountain is, well, whenever there's heavy rain or bad weather, the whole thing starts to become unstable. And that's why they have to keep closing it. So to avoid any possibility of accidents with landslides, they either close the road or they divert it onto the old road, which is now an emergency road. But more recently, I've seen them just closing the whole lot. And it's an 80-mile diversion, huge diversion. So they need to grasp the nettle again. They need to get this sorted out. It's gone on for years and years and years. And I feel sorry for people who are over Inverary Way on the west coast, because that's their lifeline. You know, that's the route they need to take to get there. So I wouldn't have thought it was beyond the abilities of those in power to build some sort of covered areas. You know, you see it in Switzerland and across the Alps. Not necessarily a tunnel, but just where there's a threat of landslides, they cover over the road. So that if that rocks fall, they land on that and go over the road. They don't close the road. So that's another thing. They need to get this sorted out. Rest to be thankful has been a problem for years, and it will continue to be a problem for years. And apparently they've spent millions upon millions putting up wire fencing and all this sort of stuff.
As you say, it's the residents of that area that suffer from it as well.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to talk about ferries?
No. I think we'll leave that. What I mean is, the ferries was also coming into my mind, how that affects people.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot. Okay. I mean, you know.
Well, then maybe talk about ferries.
Well, that's it. You were saying, you know, the government should grasp the nettle for for that particular road. What, the same way as they grasp the nettle for the ferries?
The only reason I mentioned ferries was I was over in Arden a few months ago, and I went on the Glen Sannox. You know,
all right, yeah, the new one.
The new one. Mm-hmm. It was as rusty as the old one. It's like I couldn't believe it. You know, it's rusty. It's only just gone into service. It's rusty, but you know, they're also and I saw somewhere. I can't remember the detail now, but the government has spent something like £1 million sending CalMac people and CMAL people out to Turkey to oversee the building of new ferries in Turkey. £1 million on travel and subsistence.
That'll be the same people that can't make it work here.
Well, you know, if they'd had them built here, and that's another issue, should they have been built here? Well, I think they should have been. But anyway, you know, I'm not holding the purse strings. But that's an extra £1 million that they perhaps could have saved or not spent if they'd built them here. Right. Anyway, okay. Well, if you've got any thoughts about ferries, I want to hear about you.
I think we should go road testing.
Scotland the Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.
We're talking there a little while ago about companies coming and launching cars in Scotland, which is great. It saves us on fly miles and the economy and all that type of things. But just recently, Mazda came up to Scotland, to Falkirk, and launched the Mazda 6e.
Well, it wasn't really a launch, was it? It was a preview.
Because
the car's not here till next year.
Right.
And these were left-hand drive early editions with Swiss plates, I think.
That's right. That was interesting.
It was not many left-hand drive Swiss cars driving.
You could as we're driving in convoy, about 6 or 7 of these passing by, and you could see guys' heads turning. What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it was a preview of the launch as it's in this country in June next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice car.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it looked stunning because it's had some improvements to it. Looked the business.
You know what? I was talking to the Mazda people while we were there, and they were saying, you know, they think there's a noticeable swing away from SUVs, and this is a big saloon.
Yeah,
and Mazda they've got the SUVs as well, but they say they detect a noticeable swing away from SUVs to big luxury saloons, and that, I think, it's a cracker. You know, it's got some nice touches. Some of the things I noticed, but it's got the rising, what do you call it? The rising wing at the back. You know, what do you call it? The aerofoil thing.
Oh yes.
Got the rising,
and that just makes it look so sporty, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it drives really well. It's beautiful. But one thing I didn't notice, because we went there, we didn't have to charge them. They were charged by some operatives there.
They brought people along.
We didn't dirty our hands charging them. We just drove them. But it has a glowing signature. They have glowing signature wing lights around the grille to give a unique face to the Mazda 6e. It features dynamic illumination which makes the wings appear to flutter when the car's charging, while the lighting also indicates the status of the charge.
Yeah.
It's little touches like that. It's nice.
I felt the drive was fantastic, and I didn't know that comment that you were saying about that move towards them. But in my thoughts when I'm driving a car is, when I eventually give up the Evoque, what will I go to? And I've never found anything that I really want to go to. But on that, I was thinking, come next year, you never know. I might go for something like the Mazda 6e. It was really nice. Good to drive, solid, and it'll be good to see how it takes off.
And it's a big car, but it didn't feel like a big car. Did you do the route that they suggested? We set off from Falkirk Stadium, where there's a big charging hub. Mm. We set off from there and went up the A9 to Glen Eagles and then down Glen Devon.
Down the Glen.
And that Glen Devon road, you know, is tricky. Mm-hmm. And it's a big car, and we were driving left-hand drive cars on this tricky road, and it's a big car. But it felt very comfortable. It felt in its right place. Mm. It was just a nice car to drive. And I think what Mazda are doing are some brilliant things.
They're not doing anything wrong at the moment.
They're not, no. And if this is a sign of even better things to come, then great. Absolutely.
Just when you're talking there about being a left-hand drive, going down the Glen, Lorraine was my passenger. And every time I went to hit a corner, all I could hear was the... She says, do you realise how close you are to the edge? Yes, I live on the edge, dear.
Does she not always do that?
When I'm driving, absolutely, yeah.
Right, okay, so that's one of the cars that we've been driving, but we'll be looking ahead to other cars because we've got the Scottish Car of the Year.
Yes, Scottish Car of the Year.
You're the head honcho, aren't you?
No, Lorraine's the head honcho. She is SCOTY coordinator. Right. Just to get that right, so that anything goes wrong. Oof.
Oh yeah,
yeah, no, that's it. Yeah. It's a team effort. Scottish Car of the Year. Looking forward to looking at it at the moment for a few moments, and then our next edition will be looking back, because we'll get some of the views of some of the people there, and it gives our I don't know, what do you call a podcast person? Not a viewer. It's not a listener, is it? I don't know.
Podcastee.
One of them that are watching. It will give them an inside view into something they wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, because
It's not open to the public.
It's a closed event, and you have to be part of the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be invited.
Yeah. There's normally about 200 people there,
Right. Okay.
and they're from the industry. The majority from outside Scotland because they're from press offices across the UK and Europe as well. So, it'll be nice to be able to show bits of it on the next one. And how it all happens is that there are 15 of us in the merry band of the Association of Scottish Motoring Writers, which we are two. Lorraine is another one. And we vote on the cars that we have driven over the 12 months. So we cannot vote. We can't say, oh, by the way, I like the look of that Mazda 6e. We can't vote on that. We have to have driven it. That we have different categories. Let me just look at my list so that I can make sure I don't miss any categories for those that are interested. There's a small car category, compact, crossover SUV, family car, large car, premium car, performance, utility. There are about 14 categories altogether. And we vote for the cars in those categories. That comes down to the final 3 of each category. Then we vote for 1 out of each category. And then out of all the winners of the categories, we have an overall winner.
But these are all cars that have been released or have appeared within the past year.
Absolutely. We can't, for instance, this year we couldn't vote for the Mazda 6e because it's not released till next year.
Okay.
So that'll be in next year's one. Yeah, they're all new cars that have been.
So, it's a whole range. Cars like this.
JQ, Mazda.
JQ have been an interesting arrival this year.
It's interesting when you're driving, particularly. It was the best-selling car in Scotland last month, I think.
I think so, yeah.
JQ7, JQ5. Yeah. I've been on the launch for the JQ5, another excellent car, Evoque size. So, yeah, this is an interesting year because a lot of the brands, the established brands, are being pushed by the likes of JQ, Moda, and various others.
Yeah, so Chinese cars, there's a subject for a few podcasts.
Wow, yeah.
Before long, all the cars are going to be Chinese, aren't they? Well, maybe that's
pushing it a bit far there.
A rash prediction. But anyway, yeah, so we'll have all the details of the category winners and the car of the year.
Yeah.
In the next edition.
And our guest, as we mentioned earlier, will be Gillian Shedden, who's the Managing Director of Knockhill. And she will also be at the Scottish Car of the Year, so we'll be able to get her view on it as well. So it'll be a different aspect of it. But she'll be here essentially to tell us what her first car is, our first guest to tell us what her first car, and just generally talk about Knockhill. And
whether she had a good night at SCOTY.
Well, of course she did. She will. She will.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so that's about us, isn't it? That's everything?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So, yes, email us with your thoughts, scotlandthedrive@gmail.com, and all the social medias.
Anywhere. You'll find us anywhere. And we will get better. It's.
Well, I don't know. I guarantee that. We might not talk quite so much. I don't know. No, this is what it's all about. Talking about cars.
We've got guests lined up and we've got various things. What our thought behind this was to allow you to see what actually happens a wee bit more on these launches, like seeing some of the footage of the Mazda there that you've just seen and see what's happening at SCOTY and just keeping you up to date, because we felt there was nobody doing that specifically looking at Scotland, and this is what this is about.
And we just like talking about cars.
Yeah.
So
hopefully you did as well.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Scotland The Drive with Alan Douglas and Ali Bally.